Hi everyone, it's Sam, NFTstatistics, and this is your Proof Daily NFT Countdown coming at you from Seoul, South Korea. You know, I used to live in Asia. I lived in Asia for 15 years, and during that time, I actually went to North Korea too, once, 2011, which was kind of cool, but also spent a lot of time in South Korea. It's really nice to be back here. Lots to talk about. You know, it's been 4 days since I've done a show, maybe even 5 days, so it's good to be back. I had to be sure to do a show. I'm a little bit jet lagged. I got to go host a panel, got some awesome events with Moonbirds, but let's get right into it. We're going to talk about this ROugE piece by TJO about a derivative of Skulls of Lucy that sold out, some interesting sales. But let's start with a quick market overview, looking at volume. You know, we're still kind of in this low volume phase here. You know, we haven't really seen much bounce back, and that's been true for the past few days. Had a little bit more volume with Blur than we've seen recently, about 69% yesterday was with Blur. Now, if you look at the good or the bad volume, I always call it bad volume when it's people dumping into bids, good volume when people are picking their NFTs and buying the stuff they like. But what this chart here looks at is the past, you know, kind of the 3-day trailing, and you can see that we've gone above 60% of sales are sellers dumping into bids on Blur. So a little bit more of the bad kind of volume than what we had been seeing over the past few days. Since my last show, large cap index is down about 3%, and over the past 4 days, seen a little bit of strength in DGod's Clone X, but a fair bit of weakness in Captains, Azuki, and Milady. Mid-cap index also down as well. One project that is not down and that's doing very well is Winds of Yawanawa. Continues to just kind of be very strong. Floor price above 8 ETH. Had someone who sold a punk and immediately took the proceeds and bought 3 Winds of Yawanawa. Obviously, that's about half the ETH that they earned from the punk. So interesting stuff seeing there. And then Gazers also was very strong. Had about 15 sales over a week, which was the biggest week for Gazers in terms of volume or in terms of total sales in 6 to 9 months, something like that. And you actually saw the floor price really rally here, went all the way up to about 20 ETH, even though the last sales were just at 14 ETH, and then it fell off a little bit. In terms of art projects over the past 24 hours, a fair bit of 4 projects did more than 10 ETH of volume. But if you're going back over the past 4 days, we had even more sales. Let's look at some of the bigger ones. A Fidenza sold for 75 ETH. A Bold Squiggle sold for 29.5 ETH. Very cool Bold Squiggle. We've had bulls in the teens and then bulls in the high 20s. This was bought by Seed Phrase. This was one of the more interesting Gazer sales, sold at 16 ETH. Most were kind of in that 10 to 14 range. And then this Ringers sold for 32 ETH. You know, 32 ETH was the floor. The person who bought it just relisted it immediately at 35 ETH, and that is now the floor. But you know, I think they saw a 5x5 grid, really clean ringer. Didn't belong on the floor, so they bought it and relisted it higher. Second thing to talk about is this piece called ROugE by TJO, and this is what it looks like. TJO, so much of his art has been all about the color blue, so this whole, kind of focusing on red is something new for him. One of the things he said in this piece, and this piece has not been minted, or it hasn't been sold, but one thing he said is that he invites all other artists to make contributions to this energy network. Invite you to make your contribution to this new phase of my work. It was clear to me that blue was a very important color for me, and it still holds its status as one of the divine colors. But the blue rooms, as you've known them, are now a lost era. So interesting kind of transition from the blue work that he has had before. And then on this, he had all these different terms basically telling artists what they can do using this piece that he has created. A couple of them are anyone can use the art to mint their own work. There are no old royalties. The only thing you must do is provide reference to TJO and to the ROugE project. The ROugE license is on chain and immutable, and that will carry on to the different derivatives. But one of the cool things, and I remember this happened with when Photon minted a spiral. We saw tons of other artists use that spiral to create their own work, and we're seeing that with this ROugE piece today as well. You can see a lot of the artists we talk about here: Jello, Delta Sauce, Yomi, Grant Yoon created some pieces around it. Have all created very cool work kind of using that ROugE concept. So interesting stuff. I am curious from TJO to hear when the original piece will actually be sold, how you can get a hold of that, and we will keep you posted of that. Third thing to talk about, Skulls of Pepe sell out. I thought this was kind of interesting. I don't often talk about derivatives, but this one was a derivative that had 51 pieces, but they were all selling at like 1 ETH or higher. So it was a really, for this market, a derivative to sell at these prices very kind of special situation, unique situation. This is what they look like. Clearly, derivatives of Skulls of Lucy with a little bit of Pepe involved. A lot of them have very cool look and feel. The artist here is Manet and A. Marist. Here's Manet after they sold, just talking about how appreciative he is of everybody who participated, who bid, who bought. Also just gave a ton of thanks to Sam Spratt, and they gave one of the skulls to Sam Spratt as a way of saying thank you. And it does sound like Sam has embraced the derivatives. I think a lot of artists know that there's if you don't like them, there's nothing you can do, but broadly they help you spread kind of just the idea behind your NFT, spread the concept, the theme, and often create more attention for the original. And I think that Sam really took this on in that way. A little bit more about Manet, the artist, and sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but we've talked about a couple of his sales. They're animations that have this look and feel, a bit of a nice animation sort of illustration format, and has had sales kind of in that 1 to 5 ETH range by a lot of great collectors. And the interesting thing about these was that they sold all the way from, some of them sold for 0.34 ETH, and then you can see this one on the left sold for 3.3 ETH. In the tweet, Manet said, "This is just the beginning." So I'm very curious to see what is coming. If any, is this something that should have utility, community, like the Skulls of Lucy does, or what it'll ultimately be? We will see and find out. And then lastly, let's talk about a few more notable sales first. And I think this was really kind of the headline of the weekend, was these Mega Mutants sold for 500 ETH, and the second one sold for 250 plus. We saw on chain there was 250 plus, but we know that there was more. Machi Big Brother was the buyer of both of these, confirmed in some DMs that it actually sold for more than 250. But that is, well over $1 million that went into Mega Mutants. For those who don't know, there are 13 Mega Mutants. Each one is kind of a unique trait for these. They're built off the Mutant Ape Yacht Club. 12 of them have been revealed. There's one that is just a serum, and that is good. You can break that and you can see what you get, and only one of them has not yet been revealed. The Mega Mutant serums have gone as high as 1,500 ETH. So one of the more valuable NFTs, if not the most valuable NFT that we've seen in the Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem. Here is something that Machi Big Brother, who bought both of them, tweeted. The last Mega is the one person who owns the one serum that has not been burnt yet. And here Machi is saying that he will buy that for 500 ETH if he can. So interesting stuff. Never a dull moment with Machi Big Brother. We'll see what happens there. Other stuff I want to talk about, Bangers and Crash by XCOPY. This piece sold for 19 ETH. A little bit more about this. This is a 1 of 25 edition. The prior sale was 5 months ago at 12.5 ETH. So nice to see an upsale in this market. Before then, prior sales had been kind of in the 18, 20, 15 ETH range. So it's definitely at the high end of the range for this piece, and the current floor is 20 ETH. So love to see that. Congrats to the buyer, seller, as well as XCOPY on that. And in terms of one-on-ones, Young Love by Ilan Derech. And Ilan just keeps popping up. He is so prolific right now. And even though he is prolific, even though he's creating more and more art, the prices keep going higher. So he's at 5.5 ETH. I think it ties for his all-time high sale. And here he is announcing the sale. It was a commissioned 1 of 1 that was sold to Jared Pose, and really kind of interesting stuff from Jared. He's saying that he is trying to create a 1 of 1 collection for his wife. She doesn't know, building it around song lyrics, gives various artists those song lyrics, and then they get to decide what that piece looks like. So this is a very cool one. So congrats to Jared as well as to Ilan on that. And then one other sale I want to talk about, Swan Lake by Samantha Cavet, I believe is how you pronounce it, a 4 ETH sale. The buyer here was Bat Soup Yum. I've talked about Samantha before. She had some really cool Sotheby's sales, I believe, in the past. She's a 25-year-old photographer born in Venezuela, currently based in Madrid, Spain. Her photography focuses on portraying the human abyss, solitude, and melancholic feelings, as well as dreamy pictorial landscapes. Very cool stuff. She's had a couple big sales in the past, one at 6.5 ETH, one at 8.1 ETH. So congrats to her. Congrats to Bat Soup Yum on that sale. That is all from me today. I got to go host some panels, so I gotta run, but I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, give us a like. Tell us what you think in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back tomorrow and just about every weekday with another show. Have a great day.